It's official. Alex Caruso has been traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder in return for Josh Giddey. Giddey is a Chicago Bull. What's up, guys? I'm Shy Sports Ross, and I'm going to break down the Caruso-Giddey trade, talk about some of my feelings and thoughts, and talk about the pessimistic side as well as the optimistic side, and just kind of the frustration that Bulls fans are feeling despite, the fact that the team has made their first player trade since 2021, the Lauri Markkanen, Derek Jones Jr. first-round pick trade. The Bulls did make a draft trade last season, but that's not a player-to-player trade. This is a one-to-one trade, Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. No picks were involved, and I think that's a good place to start for the frustration of Bulls fans. I think seeing all of the reports that Alex Caruso, multiple first-round picks were offered. There's been quite a few reports coming out from a variety of different sources, Casey Johnson, Will Gottlieb. There's all kinds of different reports out there that Alex Caruso had multiple potential suitors, especially back at last year's trade deadline. Teams were willing to give up first round picks, some picks that even ended up being, good picks in this year's draft. And some teams maybe even were willing to offer more than one first round pick in that trade. So the Bulls end up getting just Josh Giddey. The Thunder are the team in the NBA with potentially the biggest stockpile of draft picks after all of the trades that they've made over the last few years. And the Bulls weren't able to coax just one of those draft picks away, not even a second round pick, not even a late first protected. It ended up just being a one-to-one player trade. So I think that is kind of the place to start in terms of frustrations for Bulls fans. It feels like they did not get nearly enough based on all of the reports we've heard about Alex Caruso's value, especially at the trade deadline. The Bulls decide to make this trade in the offseason for Josh Giddey, who is a player. Listen, let's get this out of the way. He's a young player with potential. Josh Giddey is 21 years old. He's shown potential as a playmaker, a passer, an initiator. He can make flashy inbounds passes. They call him the slob sideline out of bounds play wizard. So there's a lot from Giddey that, you can feel excited about. Like as a player on his own, in a vacuum, I think that there is some excitement and some potential there for Giddey. There's the off the court concerns, which I'm not going to get too far into. I think in terms of a basketball move, this was a disappointing trade because you probably could have gotten a little bit more. Now, was it a bad idea to trade Alex Caruso? No. Alex Caruso is 30 years old. He's due for a new contract next season. The Bulls are not going anywhere. I love the guy. I'm going to miss Alex Caruso just as a fan of good basketball, as a fan of watching him play. He was the glue that held our defense together. He was a locker room leader. He was basically like the second in command to Billy Donovan. Sometimes it seemed like, in terms of, being an on the court coach. There's just not enough good things that you can say about Alex Caruso. Great teammate, great player. Thunder fans are going to love him. He fits their timeline better. He's going to come in day one, fit seamlessly into their rotation, and provide some great defense as well as some offense. So shout out Alex Caruso. Hopefully he can get another ring. I'm excited for him to be contending in the West again. But Josh Giddey represents, I think, a symptom of larger issues that Bulls fans have had with the team. And I tweeted about this a little bit the other day, but the lack of foresight, right? It's the lack of any kind of overarching plan. It feels like, the rebuild hasn't been a rebuild. There was a retool when they traded for Vucevic, when they acquired DeMar DeRozan, when they acquired Lonzo Ball. You go ahead and say you're a contending team, you can contend with this core, but you're not willing to enter the luxury tax to add some better veteran players. You're not able to make trades around the draft to add additional picks, to beef up the margins of your roster. So those are the frustrations, where it's like, it seems like the Bulls are constantly operating from a place of fear. They're afraid of failing too hard. They're afraid, Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley are afraid of upsetting the Reinsdorfs and, bringing this team a step back away from contention. They're afraid that they might lose their jobs or, be reprimanded or something. There's some sort of fear that is preventing them from really going all in on the rebuild and actually taking that roster reset that we all feel like the Bulls need to take in order to find, a new identity for the team. They're afraid of that. But they're also afraid of the luxury tax. They're not able to spend and to make moves like one of these contending teams because they don't have that financial support from the front office or from ownership. So what you're left with is a rudderless team that makes decisions that are questionable. They make decisions, other GMs look at them and they're rubbing their hands together. And listen, I think this is the next important thing to bring up. The next important topic. Giddey might be a good player down the line. Giddey might develop into a good player. That's not what we're calling into question here. What's being called into question is the fact that Giddey is due for a new contract next season. Again, the Bulls did not get any picks in return for their veteran, one of the best defenders in the NBA, Alex Caruso. Giddey has major weaknesses. Yes, he is young. He has potential. Maybe you could have gotten a draft pick to draft a younger player that maybe doesn't have the same weaknesses coming into the Bulls that Giddey has. 3-point shooting being the chief among those, and the Bulls already struggle so much with 3-point shooting. So these again are the frustrations. It's not Giddey himself. It's the lack of a cohesive plan to address all of these different issues and to build a contending team for the future. So the next important thing to bring up is that the Bulls surely aren't done. There's more trades to come, I'm sure. This is a signal potentially that the team is willing to finally rebuild. So maybe they don't get picks in this trade. Maybe they're able to get some picks for Zach lavine. Maybe they do a sign and trade for DeMar DeRozan. Maybe they finally decide to trade Vucevic and get some picks back for him. Hopefully those decisions are being made right now. Those conversations are happening. And this Giddey trade is a small part of a larger plan, but as I've kind of laid out in this video, the issue that Bulls fans have with the team right now is the lack of a plan. It is the feeling that there is no larger plan. The feeling that they're just kind of operating on vibes on a day-to-day basis, and they're not truly making long-term decisions to benefit the success of the team. So those are my thoughts. I wanted to make this video yesterday, but I felt like I needed to take some time to really digest this trade, try to be level-headed about it. Don't want to come on here and be, all doom and gloom and say the Bulls got fleeced and it's over and yada yada. Right now, as of today, a day after the trade was made, doesn't look good for the Bulls. Oklahoma City Thunder fans are going to love Alex Caruso, and we are going to desperately miss him. But with all that said, what happens next is important too. Are the Bulls able to develop Josh Giddey? Are they able to come to a contract agreement so that they don't just trade away Alex Caruso and then let Giddey walk for nothing anyway? Or are they going to try to flip Giddey again and try to get some more assets for him? These are the things that remain to be seen. We're going to have to see how it all plays out. So that's why I didn't want to jump too far into the deep end, too far into the doom and gloom, because we do still have the draft coming up next week. Free agency follows not that long after. So there's a lot of decisions that are still going to be made. Zach lavine, chief among those. What is the future of Zach lavine in Chicago? The Bulls probably could get a decent return for him. Not to rehash one of the things I was just talking about, but another one of those issues has always been, they talk about trading lavine at the trade deadline. They talk about trading lavine at the trade deadline. They've waited 2 years now, and his value has dropped. He is not as valuable as he once was. So those are all of the different things kind of stewing around in my mind right now, in terms of, what this means for the Bulls and what this means for this offseason in particular. But right now, I think the easiest way I could sum this up is it was a disappointing return, but hopefully is part of a larger plan to rebuild the Bulls with young players who, have high IQ and have potential to grow into even better players. So Josh Giddey remains to be seen. You know, if he's going to be the starting point guard, what the situation looks like for Coby White, who had a great season last year as the starting point guard. I do think that, you know, with Coby, you have the benefit of him being able to play off ball. He's a great shooter, but I do think that he showed a lot of strength as an on-ball creator and a playmaker last year, which those are the things that Giddey needs to do to be effective. You know, Giddey struggled playing off ball for the Thunder. He's not a shooter, so defenders can sag off of him. He's also not a great defender. So when he was playing, you know, a wing position, defending forward, sometimes even, you know, he's playing out of position, gets beat easily. So those are things that, you know, the Bulls, ideally, they're trading for Giddey to help remedy. The Bulls are obviously nowhere near the same situation the Thunder are in. So Giddey has some more room to kind of make those mistakes and grow a little bit, play on ball. So more decisions to come. Those are just kind of my initial thoughts on the trade, trying to not be so pessimistic and try to give you guys a little bit of optimism as well in the process. But I know it hurts. It hurts to see Alex Caruso go. It hurts to feel like this team doesn't have a plan. I got to look at the silver lining. I got to try to be hopeful. Otherwise, you know, I'm going to go insane. So that's what we're here doing, is breaking down the Bulls. Make sure to hit subscribe. Make sure to follow me at Shy Sports Ross on all social media platforms. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more content very soon.